Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday Tirade as I move Tom into the correct position. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about, and as Stephanie Janicek has properly pointed out here, Chapek had a call with one of the big funds, Morgan Stanley, yesterday, absolutely. And I woke up to morons pushing that asinine hashtag, absolutely. And we can certainly talk about that towards the end, but what Chapek was talking about yesterday was ridiculous, and it feeds into the conversation that we were going to have today anyway, so thank you for that. I think there's transcripts out there right now. I haven't pulled any of them up. I don't care. I kind of know verbatim what was said. I also know that Morgan Stanley is an issue. Tom, did you catch any of that? Anything? Any segments? Any clips? Anything?
No, I heard something about his snafu or whatever, but that was it. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet.
Yeah, you're talking, I mean, he covered a lot of subjects. He really was avoiding everything, but he's really pushing the digital productions distribution model thing to the hilt, the direct-to-consumer
They
model.
have to.
But it's the exact opposite thing that Wall Street's looking for. Anyway, we'll get into that conversation in a minute. But yeah, I don't want Solo 2 to happen. I mean, Solo 2. I don't think it's gonna. It's a complete BS movement. What's up, Captain Trek? It's good to see you. We got a lot of folks here. We've got Noble Arrow, Darius Munchausen, that 70s rock fan. Critisable's back. Hey, what's up? Stieg, what's up, Stieg? He's here. I am doing very well today. It's been busy. I mean, work this particular part of the month for me, the first week and in the last week of the month kind of blend together for me in the real world for the real job. But you know, I'm here and so's Tom. So we've got a show to do. Love is the answer. You don't know what the question is. You need to look to the Beatles, my friend. Six is here. Says smiles from the heart of the family, man. Absolutely. You guys are the best. Appreciate all of you. Mockety 90s out there doing the yeoman's work of being our mod for the moment. Appreciate that. Today the hair is just extra long, right? That's extra long. I'm getting a trim done. I'm getting a trim done tomorrow. And I will be broadcasting from my cabin up north for pretty much all of the Thursday afternoon and evening shows, and through the weekend I will be up there just to get some time away, which I absolutely need. Good morning to you, Captain Ed Straker. Good to see you. Or excuse me, Commander. Tina Bojan is here. What's up, Tina? We've got Stone Cold Jeremy in the house. What's up, Stone Cold? Accidental Tourist, Keely Chow, Brightest Day. Look at all you folks. Woolie's in the house. What's up, Woolie? What's up? Darth Haster is here. What's up, man? We got Barack Derma saying, "How are you? I'm making noodles." Ooh, that sounds good. Oh, you bought Resident Evil Village 8. That's awesome. I hope that is. I hope that's fun. I've been watching some people play that. I might get into that. Mr. Dragon is here. Let's see. Of course, Stephanie, we've already talked to real quickly. Krusty Makoko is here. What's up? Good to see you. And Keck44. All right, Tom, we said hello to everybody. How are you doing?
It's not Makoko, it's Moko.
Oh, did I say Makoko?
You did.
I'm bad. I said Makoko.
Krusty How am I doing?
Yeah, how are you, man? Good?
I'm fucking tired, man. I haven't slept for shit.
Dude.
Anybody want to buy a dog and a cat?
No.
I'm real cheap.
No, you would never get rid of Sadie. You'd never get rid of Sadie.
Never say never.
No. I'm
Well, the
sorry.
cat actually is a bigger asshole, so will say
Yeah.
that.
Okay. All right. But I'm glad that I'm glad that you're here. I'm sorry you're not resting, but you spend your time editing and on other people's channels just promoting everybody. So thank you for doing that, my friend. Got a few more folks
Yeah, we do
from.
have a video coming eventually.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that Highlander Henry Cavill Superman business.
Oh, I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to see it. I'm sure everybody else wants to see it. Sure, everybody else wants to see it. I know I do. Uh, yeah, and we've got Moko. Well, yep. Moko is a booger. Yeah. If you say that in Hawaii, though, they'll be mad at you. Local Moko is a local food plate. So, yeah. Anyway, Stephanie pipes in with
They
cats are
are
assholes.
assholes.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And Karen Prime is just wishing us peace. Namaste. And we have our traditional box of popcorn from Darius Munchausen. Thank you for that, my friend. Appreciate it. Well, tomorrow I have a video coming out. It's about the MCU, and it feeds into the thing we're talking about up here, which is what they see what they see Hollywood versus Wall Street. So let's get into it. Let's do it. First of all, Wall Street's looking at these media properties differently. And I'm sure that that's bleeding over into what you guys are covering over there on Midnight's Edge, Tom. But
Always.
they're looking for a return to normal. As the rest of the world is already headed that direction, they're looking for a return to normal as far as the financial dealings and everything else. Um, you know, Disney, for example, has a lower projection going forward with the overvaluation that I talked about in the video and in other places over the course of the weekend. Um, and there are other studios that are looking to do the same thing. Have you seen any of that reflected in anything that you guys have been covering of late?
Um, as far as like a change to
Yeah, changing
getting
the way
back to
people are going.
capitalism.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, that's a better way
uh,
to do it. Yeah.
well, sadly, we had the whole situation where things were shut down for so long. And during that, you had, God, all the craziness go on, which I really feel like pushed things way back in another direction. But I do feel like we're going to get a few shining lights here and there, and when they make money, people are going to notice. I mean, when like things like Godzilla versus Kong made money,
Mhm.
that Hollywood definitely stood up and took notice. This last weekend, Fast and the Furious did very well. And I don't think that's extremely woke. I haven't heard about. I mean, I don't know how good the movie is, but I heard it completely goes off the rails. But hey, that's what those movies are supposed to do, right?
They are.
They're
Yeah.
car foo. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Car.
Uh,
Ooh.
yeah, I think eventually Hollywood's going to realize that a lot of this virtue signaling is not going to pay the bills, and I think Disney really got a 1-2 punch in the last few weeks with Eternals and Shang-Chi,
Yeah.
especially looking at being rejected from China.
Yep.
And then it's already Eternals is getting a lot of heat right after the trailer dropped because you have the people from India are just freaking the fuck out, and then everybody else is just like, this looks boring and it looks like the worst Marvel movie to ever come out. I mean, even people could say that Captain Marvel had a decent trailer, you know.
It did. The trailer was intriguing, right? Even the teaser. Remember the early teasers way back 2 years ago? 2 years ago. Okay, maybe not. 19 months ago. It's a long time ago. Do you remember when we
Let's
first
put it this
started
way:
seeing
Captain
Black Widow?
Marvel. I was like, okay, the movie's going to be okay, but she's going to be bad. Now, both cases were, she was bad and the movie was bad. But like you're right, the trailer at least gave me the incentive to go, I'm gonna give it a shot.
Yeah.
This I'm not so sure about getting no shot.
No, and that's the thing. I mean, even I'm just going to say, just based on everything that's out there now and everything that I had heard, I'm kind of not really all that interested in seeing Black Widow. And it's not just because of the obvious, which I said, and actually probably I'm going to say the same thing in the video I already recorded and just editing now for tomorrow, which is I don't know. I mean, I talk at length in tomorrow's video about these things, and I don't see anybody interested in the Eternals based on what we saw in the teaser. I mean, did you see what Critical Drinkers video? Holy cow! I mean, that was released just a few hours ago, and I
No,
mean,
I
it's
haven't got a chance to, but I can't wait to check
yeah,
it out.
yeah. I mean, and and I'll let him speak for himself in the video, but it's this is what we're going to get now. Is it's not. This is not a superhero film. You can't boil it down to a daytime soap opera episode. And that's kind of what's happened to this shit because they bring in these, third tier writers to write agenda based stuff that doesn't fit within the format of the comic book film. Right. So, but anyway, and I agree with Stieg here. I mean, the new Predator movie is going to be woke as F, an 18-year-old minority girl versus a predator. Amongst other things, it's a problem for sure, Stieg.
They already killed that franchise, but yeah,
Yeah.
I ain't surprised.
Yeah. Oh, hey, were you on Espanol?
I couldn't understand a word they were saying.
Well, at least I'm going to be able to brush up on my Spanish every time I get a check in. I get a chance to check in, and this is the weird thing, and this is going to feed into the Hollywood stuff because Tom was just talking about it, right? Wall Street wants these media entities to do well. Universal needs for the Fast and Furious franchise to restart what's going on in theaters, right? At least for them. And it got a huge opening in China, but this thing it doesn't have great word of mouth over there. And well,
it's still going to do well.
Yeah, it's just, do you think it's going to get to the Hobbs and Shaw numbers that they did before?
It's going to do better than that. It's going to do better than
million.
It's going to do better than Godzilla versus Kong. I don't know if it's going to. It might manage to do the 200 million right now. Okay. Things are opening up a lot of places, and people are starting to get things back to normal. The theaters that are around, they're going to do all right. The ones that have had issues through this whole thing, oddly enough, have been the big ones, the ones that are the chains, and that was because they refused to open up. It was all the little guys that are like, fuck this noise, we're opening up. And even if they weren't showing any movies, they were selling popcorn. And then a lot of them are bringing in, classic films to watch. Yeah. And as we brought up many, many times, there was a lot of films last year that, from the past that did very well, like everything from Empire Strikes Back to Halloween. So, I mean, theaters will be all right. And that's where I kept saying is, even though we got a lot of flack for our one video, theaters, the studio still needs the theaters more than the theaters need the studio. Because once the studio decides they don't need the theaters are just going to adapt to something else. And they have already been doing it. They've got the premium, the premium deals where you can go get, a dinner in a movie and all that kind of stuff, like at Alamo Draft House. A lot of them have been doing a lot of sporting events. The theaters have kind of become the new pay-per-view. Yeah. Remember it used to be when you get your buddies together to watch the fight on pay-per-view. Exactly. That's what you're doing now at the theaters instead.
And it's been happening like that for a long time. And even back in the 50s, used to be able to watch boxing matches versus closed circuit television. Remember that?
Yep. And that's what's going on. That, and then they're also doing concerts now.
Yep. Yeah. And so you're getting a lot more out of what's happening at the theaters. And there are a lot of theaters that sacrificed a couple of row of seats at the front to build a small stage so they could do those kinds of events.
Well, not just a concert like live, but I mean actual broadcasted concerts.
Well, but one of my locals actually did that. They built a stage and they actually had like a band night. I mean, it was really cool. So
well, they've already shown out here at the drive-in. They've done Garth Brooks. They got one coming up here, and I can't remember who it is, but it's a big one. And then they had Stevie Nicks. So like this is they're like, yeah, so like they've already got these things where you've got these big singers, like, and that's probably a new avenue for the musicians as well.
Yeah, they need it. Money. Boy, do they need it, let me tell you. But anyway, back to this. And when you ask about John Cena, I don't know why this isn't sharing. Oh no, I'm about to leave, Tom. So if I disappear, I'll be back.
All right. Well, I got a quick take on Cena anyway. I kind of know what happened. All I got to say is this: Cena should have just pulled the "I'm white and I'm racist and I don't understand," and so I wanted to sound less racist. So I wanted to make it sound like I'm dumb. Dude, we get it. You're a fucking ex-wrestler or whatever, and you're an actor. I don't even. If you'd have told me Taiwan was a country, I would have just sat there and said, okay. Because I don't know.
All right. Well,
I'm not real good with like fucking.
I'll be back.
Like maps and shit.
I'm totally locked up in StreamYard. I'll be back.
So yeah, now you're gonna leave me all by myself, which is a bad idea.
I know, but it'll be fine.
Because then I just start swearing and saying racist shit.
Great. Bye. I'll be right back.
He froze. Look at his face. I can make it sound like he's talking, but his mouth not moving. So he's like, ha 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 ha. All right, kids. You got me for like probably 2 minutes to ask me anything you want before Culture gets back, and I can say it because I'm on Culture's channel. So here we go. The answer is 7.5 inches. Yes, that's how long my fingers are. Nah, I don't know. Tom Solo? Yes, Tom Solo. What do we got here? Where do babies come from, Jack of all casuals? That's a very good question. They come from Ecuador. That's it. They make them in a factory. Let's talk politics. All right. Soilo 2, yay or nay? Nay. Definitely nay. 42 is always the answer. 2 minutes is all you need. 6? Well, yeah. Some women are easy to please. Will this be like when Az took over for Toxic Femininity? No, Darius, because I do not have his charisma. Krusty Moko, I thought you were talking about churro length. That's a good churro length as well. That's very true. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Denny's came first. Anyway, you're back.
Can you hear me? Am I
Yes.
back?
Do I prefer showering or bubble baths? I prefer showering in bubble baths.
Oh, yeah. I like that take.
I gave them 2 minutes to ask me anything they wanted, since it was your channel, in case they say ask me something I could get you in trouble for.
Excellent. Love that. All right. Churros sound good. Was there a churro question I missed?
I said 7.5 inches.
Oh, okay. I thought that was your finger length.
It was.
Oh, okay.
See, I told you.
Yeah.
You guys heard. I'm not lying.
Okay, I feel better. So anyway, John Cena was a dummy. Said some dummy stuff, which isn't good for.
He should have just acted more dumb, to be honest.
Yeah. It would have.
Hey, what are you gonna do? I'm a fucking ex-wrestler. Sue me. I didn't know Taiwan wasn't a country.
Could he really pull that off? I mean, you have to remember. Well, first of all, if anybody's unfamiliar with this, and I'm going to pull up the story so that we have it, because that's what I was trying to do before when I got.
Yeah, we need some context before you get into my whole thing.
Yeah, and here we go. Wabam, share, Mr. Cena, wabang. So here's the thing. He apologized in Mandarin. If you watch the video clip, he's actually speaking Mandarin.
So that's the thing, is he's so smart. Motherfucker should have known. All right, my fucking excuse goes out the window.
Well, but he's a big dummy. I mean, you're not wrong in the dummy category. I mean, this was brain dead, right? And here's the thing: it's in a most unusual apology. Wrestler turned actor John Cena has taped a video mea culpa to China and its moviegoers for describing Taiwan as a country in a promotional video for his latest installment of the Fast and the Furious series. The backlash was immediate on Chinese social media against Cena. This is bad news for Universal, dude. And this is the thing. You guys have been talking about this for a couple of days right now, right? With, China and Hollywood are breaking up.
Well, this has slowly kind of been happening for a while. I mean, we kind of first saw it, I think it was Paramount lost their funding from China. And I mean, they've got themselves so infiltrated into Hollywood. The other side of it is, I'm sure that they haven't really been making the kind of money they were hoping to do. And when you're exporting a lot of woke bullshit, that's the other thing I don't understand is, you've got 6 hands not knowing what the other one's doing in Hollywood nowadays. You've got one faction that wants to do all this woke business.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the virtue signaling has a lot to do with the fact that they're pandering to China more so than they are trying to just virtue signal.
Yeah.
I brought that up before too, is is they feel so guilty for doing that, or in a sense that it's like they don't want to seem like they're so obviously doing it, that they throw all this other shit in there that can easily be cut out in other countries.
Yep.
And then so you get the woke points plus the virtue signaling to make it look like, oh, we're not pandering to China. It's like, yes, you are. We know better. We know you cut that scene out of the fucking Rise of Skywalker. We're not stupid. You know, like it's like they don't realize the internet exists. You know, like, you know, it was so much easier to do this shit back before the internet existed. But yeah, it feels like they don't even know what they're doing, but at the same time, they still can't sit back and say, like, yeah, we know the straightforward type of shit we used to do is what makes money, but we got to do this for right now for no other reason that makes sense to ourselves. And even to them, I got to question whether or not it makes sense to themselves at this point, other than they just have this they're just ridden with guilt. Maybe I don't get it at this point.
Well, you have studios that are willing to sacrifice 75% of the box office.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it just doesn't make fucking sense at all. There's no means to the ends here, unless it's political power. That and even then, that still doesn't make a lick of sense unless there's money on the other end of it. And I can't imagine there's as much money in begging for money from people because you're acting woke than there is if you're making bunches and bunches of fucking money at the box office. Because that's why, you know, Hollywood has always been so glamorous and people have always wanted to be a part of it, because it's one of the most lucrative businesses to be in.
It is. And you know what, Snowdub, you're right. I mean, you know, this looks bad. I mean, I have the video I can bring up. I don't know. Do you think I'll get claimed? It's on YouTube. Probably.
How long is it?
Couple minutes long.
If it's just a news thing, you shouldn't be.
All right, but here's the thing. I mean, in Ironcaster, this is also going to hang over Suicide Squad. This is the problem when you deal with China. Everything has the government in it.
Yes.
Everything. And that's how they're trying to make our government here in the United States. So we're not going to get into the politics of all of that. We just aren't.
No, just go check out our AMC video for that nonsense, and you can just kind of get an idea of how embedded they are and shit.
It was a good video too, by the way. You guys are great, and you guys have been nailing it out of the park. But yeah, this is going to hang over Suicide Squad and any other project that he's in. Just like the Chloe Zhao thing with the Eternals.
Are people really freaking out here though? Does anybody really give that much of a shit? Was it just 10 people on Twitter that freaked out, or what? I'm trying to about this whole Cena thing. You didn't get to read the story yet.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I that's the problem. Is, you know, I was a little out of my game.
Yeah, I just know what he said, and I know he apologized. That's all I know.
Yeah. So here we go. Cena speaks to the language fluently and learned it when he made his living as a superstar wrestler who toured the world. China is hugely important to the global economic picture of the Fast and Furious series, and the film so far has grossed around 137 million. Actually, it's more than that, but that's fine. Watch Cena's apology below. So here it is. You want to watch it?
Sure.
Okay. I didn't share audio, but I think that'll be fine.
你好，中国，就是叫西
I
安
can hear it.。
我必须说，现在，在《速度与激情》中，我做很多采访，很多，所以在一个采。
See, and he's already apologized in one of my videos. In one of my videos, I made a mistake, right? And I saw the Chinese language version of this with the subs. This is the first time I've seen the translation into English. So.
采访，我有一个错误，所有人问我，如果我可以用中文，速度与激情有人给我很多资讯 information，所以很多采访，很多 information，我有一个错误，我必须说现在就是很重要。我爱更尊重中国跟中国人，我很抱歉对我的错误。
Does he realize how this is going to play in the States?
No.
对不起，我很抱歉，你必须了解。
I think it's worse because he's making such a big deal out of it. Like, really, all is one of those things is like, hey, I fucked up. I didn't realize. Sorry. You know, I mean, like, it really, I mean, it's one of those things, like, he's acting like he grabbed somebody's ass.
Yeah, he is. But I guess technically, if you're that involved and invested in the government,
No,
and
I
again,
get you. And honestly, it's more like, I know, I hear where you're coming from, because, like, it's more the fear of the Chinese than anything. You're right.
yeah.
很爱、很尊重中国跟中国人。
Well, there you go. There's 27 comments.
Little did he know when he said bye, they were going to chop his head off next.
That's right. Maybe he should do all his movies in Mandarin. This is the only performance of his that wasn't a wooden block. That's funny.
No, yeah, like, I have no love for the guy. I don't have any hate for him either. I don't have zero fucks to give, because I've seen him in maybe 3 things, if I'm remembering correctly, and he's a wrestler turned actor. Guess what? They're all the same. Even The Rock, who's probably the best of them, outside of maybe Roddy Piper. You know, like, as far as, like, actors that were used to be wrestlers, those are probably the top 2.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think you're right. Yeah, and Amber, to catch you up, he accidentally said Taiwan was a country in some promotional video he did in support of the film in China, where it's already opened. It hasn't opened here yet, and so he got called out on Chinese social media, obviously, because people want their social credits, and when you defend China, you get more social credits. As a Chinese citizen. So,
oh, boo-hoo, that'd be like him saying the state of Toronto instead of the city of Toronto or some shit, or mistaking that Toronto was in the US. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you. You're not
It's
wrong.
really fucking stupid. But no, you're right. You're 100% right. The only reason he's doing this fucking beta, like you just said, thank you for that word, because that's exactly what it is. Yeah. This beta ass fucking apology is because he's afraid of the Chinese fucking government. You're right. And how their investors are going to feel.
Oh my God, that 70s rock fan. I can't say that, but I can't disagree with it. The problem is that China believes it's their territory. They also believed, and this is the biggest problem. The English never should have pulled out of Hong Kong, because now
you're right. My analogy is even worse, because you're right. This is a debate between how they see it. You're right.
Yeah, and the rest of the world,
because isn't it kind of the same thing as Hong Kong too? Or some shit like that. Yeah, I was gonna say, because that always confuses the fuck out of me too.
And that's why the China kept insisting that Taiwanese mark all of their goods and products and everything with ROC, Republic of China, right? Because they wouldn't let go of this tiny island that claimed independence.
I'll admit my ignorance. I don't understand half this shit, like I just said.
Well, and it's again, geopolitics was something I was very interested in many moons ago. Now I don't care. But it doesn't serve anybody other than that, what they're trying to do as far as their influence goes. But
I fucking sucked at geography.
Yeah, some of these comments are hysterical. LMAO, another useless celeb pandering to China, a country that does everything and more that they say hate America for doing in the past. Hypocrites. True. Absolutely. That looks like a hostage video. Yeah. LeBron and the NBA refused to support Hong Kong protesters because basketball is such a big business in China. Folks, whatever the industry, it's all about money. Absolutely. Follow the money. In everything in life, follow the money.
Well, they're not even getting that much money. That's what I don't understand, and I'm still trying to figure out. It's got to be about the power in this instance.
No, they don't. What power? I mean, at this point,
I have influence of some type with China. I don't understand, because you're going to have to tell me, because even going by, okay, they made what? I think it was 150 so far on Fast and Furious in China. Yeah, and we know they only get 15% at most usually of the box office.
Yeah.
So that means they made $15 million. Big fucking deal. Yeah. That ain't shit.
I think Disney was able to negotiate 25%. They have significant business interests in China as well.
That's the part. And that's what I was going to get to, is I think it has more to do with the fact that these people are entrenched in the business. Because as you know, and as I'm sure some of the people in the chat are aware, once you get into business with them, because of the way things are, they have to have like a controlling interest in your fucking business, basically, like 50% interest in your business. So that's where I believe the money is coming from. And that was where the point I was going to get to. And that's what I've said before, is it's not about the movie making the money over there. The movie make money over there is good for their investors. but it's the money coming in up front. And that's where I was saying that almost killed Paramount before, because when they lost their Chinese financing, that's when Paramount was like, oh, fuck. And they've been in dire straits ever since, basically.
Yeah. And see, Stephanie is right on top of the geopolitical circumstances of that. Taiwan was where Chiang Kai-shek led the anti-communists to safety.
And this is why she's smarter than me.
She's awesome. You guys, you should check out Stephanie. She's amazing.
And Snowdub, you're right. They do have a bigger population, and that's why they want part of that, and that's why they want the investors, because the investors invest big money in Hollywood. And them investing in a movie is also another guarantee that the movie will play there.
6. If God wanted us to learn geography, she wouldn't have invented GPS. That's right.
No, and it makes sense, because I mean, even you look at like the UK as far as a movie viewing audience, that's like what, a third of the US's size, roughly, not even.
Yeah.
So again, like a lot of these countries, and a lot of it's some regions, I'm sure they just don't even open it because it's not even worth it. But when you have movies like Marvel and Star Wars that are opening basically planet wide at the same time, or Fast and the Furious, that's big bucks. I can see that. I can see the reasons for that.
I'm reading these comments.
America.
Fuck yeah. I just cursed on my own channel, guys. But it was in service.
And that's true, though. Look, haha, doesn't get more obvious than this as to who is paying the bills. Exactly what I'm saying. Right. That's where the money's coming from. The investments, the upfronts. And it don't matter if the movie makes any money over there. Yeah, it matters to their investors, and then they want to make more. But that's why they went into things like Transformers and crap like that.
I don't even understand. Yeah, everybody's going to say anonymous. I mean, that's the point. I mean, this is the thing with the internet. This dude is owned by China. All movie stars are, no doubt about that.
That's what's sad about it. Brightest Day, he says it's kowtowing to an authoritarian state, and I'm not sure I care whether it's about money or not. It is, but it isn't. That's the thing, is it's about money, which is funny because it's a communist country that they're worried about getting all this money from. But anyway,
it's right there. This is actually the accurate comment. So, yeah. This thing that I just highlighted.
Isn't that the same kind of deal with Hong Kong too?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. You have to consider. I mean, the English were in Hong Kong forever when they
talk about this handover to get shut down. You know that, right?
Oh, you know what? You're right. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Let's pull it down.
I mean, we can talk about it, but we need to be a bit more cryptic. Yeah. I think the audience knows what we're talking about, but I'm afraid if we start saying the C word too much and the other C word too much, we can talk about cocaine.
No,
that's a C word we can talk about.
Yeah. Hey, look, it's LDG. Oh, by the way, guys, LDG can now live stream over on Odyssey. I can't, but LDG can. So check out Pickles over there the next time he does a live stream. Hopefully I'll get some privileges on Odyssey so that I can start doing news videos there that are actual news, because I can't do them on YouTube. They won't let me. Thank you for the super sticker, Kashik. You're awesome. Well, Soul Assassin, I don't know. I think they were also yen, but I could be wrong. Mecha J is approving of what you said there, Tom. So there you go. Darius Munchausen is on board. Of course, Frank Marshall says,
cocaine.
There you go. CC is the main man. Well, I do have long hair, but I like I said, I'm getting a trim. They have to take a 1/4 inch off so I can get rid of some dead ends so that they don't split, and I can continue to grow my hair. So, happy Revenge of the 25th. Absolutely. Oh, and you know what? I didn't say this to you, Tom, and the audience. Happy Star Wars Day to you, sir.
Indeed. It's a sad day, but yes.
Yeah, and Opteracer says the same thing. It's May 25th. Happy Star Wars Day. Absolutely. Yeah, you guys are awesome. Oh, and
reminded of a lost love.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Commander Ed Straker says something important.
Go.
That's right. There you go. And Brightest Day, right on top of things. Thank you very much, Brightest Day. Appreciate that. Mr. Kip Ellis is in the house, as is Mr. Dragon. Question, is Hollywood really even getting a fair share from China, or is China just keeping it all? 15 to 25%, depending upon negotiated.
Well, that's where I was bringing up. It has more to do with the investments. Has less to do with the box office and more to do with how much money China is investing in this stuff. And that's what we saw with Paramount. And when Paramount lost their Chinese investors, it really affected them. And that's the answer to the question: is it is still about money. It's just not the money we're thinking about.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I always look at these companies as like chips, right? They're interchangeable. And you know, when it comes to Hollywood and these studios, you know, how much of your value of how much of the value of your chips is tied up in, you know, some foreign government, and it seems like all of these studios just have a lot of themselves tied up in it. I don't know if that's a good
Well,
way to explain it, but it's just
it's like this, and I hate to explain it like this, but 90% of the movies out there are like the government. They say, okay, it's going to cost us $50 million to make this movie. So we tell all our investors we got to raise 100 million, right?
yeah.
And in that process, basically every hammer, every nail, everything you buy, you write it down that it costs twice as much that it really cost you to buy.
Yeah, well,
So at some point down the line, it's and I'm not saying that they do this every time because it's a pretty atrocious accusation, but trust me, there's movie math, and it all depends on who's asking, and it really boils down to that's where the real money is at. Because once the money starts coming in from the box office, first of all, the theaters get their cut, which isn't as much as it used to be, but they still get to keep their cut. Then when it comes to breaking it down, then the investors get their cut first, then certain players get their cut, and then whatever's left over is the pittance that the studio gets to put back in their coffers. And when you have a situation like Joker, which on the surface looks like, oh, that movie made Warner Brothers bank, right? No, not really, because they pre-sold it. And they had a lot of investors in that movie that weren't Warner Brothers. So Warner Brothers only saw, like, I think it was 30% on a $1 billion movie. And so you got to imagine that the head started rolling because of that kind of shit. And that's the thing they really need to start realizing is it used to be Hollywood would borrow the money from the bank and they were the ones online for it, unless you had a production company and you do a pickup and you'd buy the movie. That's where this money's coming from, is you're getting all this investment money from China. So China was the one who come in and basically paid for Transformers 1 through 5. You get what I'm saying? And Paramount got to keep a bunch of that money on the other end for licensing fees and this fee and that fee. And it's all this stuff that goes into it. And then that's why when you look at Transformers 5 or 4 and you're like, the movie didn't make any money, even though it was $1 billion movie almost. And that's why it didn't make any money, is because by the time the money was to be made, there wasn't anything left. And that is true of a lot of films. So, I mean, they aren't totally lying sometimes when they're like, yeah, this movie hasn't made any money yet, and it's a huge success. True to a point. It is sometimes very true to a point, because the investments that are in these films now are so convoluted compared to what they used to be.
Well, and consider this. A lot of these pictures, including this one, I think, are tied to Legendary.
And that's another point, was a production company, yeah.
Yeah, Legendary was purchased from Mr. Tull by the Wanda Group, which is China. They did that back in 2016.
Which, if I recall, is the same company that's involved in AMC.
Well, actually, yeah, they pulled out. They own like very little stock now. You have a lot of these companies that were knee deep in some business.
Wasn't that even the same group that pulled out of Paramount?
Wanda pulled out of lots of things recently. They actually had their own theme park business that were like located indoors in malls and stuff. They had they've been involved in a lot of stuff. Wanda Group does a lot of different things.
Oh, and thank you for bringing up the theme park, because that's another big part of Disney's business over there.
Yep. And that's actually part of the conversation that we have right now. When Hollywood is looking at the theme parks, they see what Mr. Chapek said yesterday, and which is basically that, basically that everything is going to revolve around direct consumer. The problem is when Wall Street looks at Disney, they look at their theme park business because it's a cash cow. Um, Movies are hit and miss. You can have up and down years in films, right? I mean, what's the best you think Disney ever did theatrically in a year?
2019, wasn't it, when they did like 19 billion, I think it was.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah,
And
18 or 19, I think it was. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, it was
the year was 42 billion overall for all the studios, which is a record.
Yeah, but you had 42% of all film releases were Disney that year.
Yeah. Actually, they may have even made more than that. It might have been in the 20s.
It was dumb. It was just dumb amounts of money. And it doesn't matter when you start to get up to those numbers. So they controlled the majority of the stake at the box office. They controlled the majority of films that hit the box offices around the world, et cetera, et cetera. But it's a fickle business, as you know, Tom. You're not going to have a lot of billion-dollar properties anymore. It's going to be dumb, turn your brain off popcorn films that are going to make that money.
Right.
Audiences aren't going to go back. They're looking for escape, which is why Disney threw out the garbage, we need to escape crap commercial in front of all of their soon-to-be flop films.
Well, and going in with the parks is also the merchandising, which is a big tie into the parks. And that's another reason why you buy Marvel. That's why you buy Star Wars. That's why you're supposed to be able to afford to spend $250, $300 million to make one of these movies, because it doesn't even matter if it makes $1 billion at the box office or not, outside of the prestige aspect, because you're supposed to be able to make the back end up on selling plastic and getting people to your park and going to your attractions, right? That's the whole point, because you want the kid to not just see Avengers, you want the kid to buy all the Avengers, and you want the kid to buy the Avengers t-shirt, or the parent to buy the Avengers t-shirt. And then when the kid goes to Disneyland, they want to go to Avengerland. I mean, exactly. It's all, synergy. It's the word they created themselves, and it's not stupid. It makes complete fucking sense when it comes to money. It's just the aspect of the monkey wrench in the whole, game we just can't keep understanding, and we keep looking at it and standing over and going, why are you letting this happen, is the big woke bug. And the fucker is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, like a tick that just keeps sucking the blood life out of this entire thing. And it's like, how are you ignoring this thing? So there's got to be a reason for it. That's what I'm saying, is like there's got to be somewhere where there's money to be made, because otherwise it just makes no sense.
Yeah.
Pun intended on that.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, you just, and again, Universal's tied into parks now. I mean, Wall Street's looking for a return to normal with these businesses, and they look at the studios as just an offshoot. And Tom is 100% right. Merchandise, parks, products, and experiences are all, for Disney, are all in the same group. That's done that way on purpose, because it kind of isolated all of the cash cows into one unit. Right. And then you have, of course, the movie industry, movie television stuff. And that was its own thing. But now that's completely restructured and is essentially based almost entirely on the distribution ability and, direct to consumer stuff. And that's just not the way the business operates. Even under the new model for streaming, I don't think it will. And one of the things that leads me to believe that Disney knows that some of these films are going to super suck is that they are releasing day and date on Disney Plus with Premier Access, and I've been banging that drum for a while now. I'm like, this is how Disney hides their failures. It's how they hid Mulan. Mulan. I think it's how they're going to hide the underperformance of Black Widow. Tom? What do you think? You think that's accurate?
I don't know. I'm not saying that's not a side effect that they can take advantage of, but I think that. The fact that Disney still has to do this way is proof positive in the pudding that I've been saying all along, is the streaming services are not structured in a way yet, and they don't have enough eyeballs and money yet involved to fund these projects without theatrical distribution. And this whole thing, great example is how AT&T is pulling out of the Warner business, because they noticed exactly what we've been talking about all this time. And that is, without those, what is it? The 3 Ps you just said, parks.
Yep. Parks, products, and experiences.
Parks, products, and or PPE. Yeah. Without that, you can't fund this shit. If you're just a communications company, you don't have that PPE to rely on so much. You don't have, I mean, yeah, Warner has some investment, I think, in Six Flags or whatever, but I don't think it's like the amount they used to have.
Well, and they license
And that's what I was gonna say. I think it was just it's just a license deal. So they're making money, but they're not so invested in that like Disney to where it's like, okay, we got to pay a bill this month. Oh, well, just pull some money out of the parks. They can't do that. Like Comcast will fund Universal only so far. That's why they need Fast and Furious right now to do well for them, because they've been bleeding money on the Universal side of things, but they can afford it because of Comcast. Disney can't afford this shit without the parks being opened. But because they need that PPE to feed into the rest.
Exactly.
And without that, and that's the same thing where AT&T's like, we're not going to foot this bill anymore. And that's why they're more than willing to kind of part with Warner Brothers for half the price they paid for it, because it's done nothing but bleed money. Yeah, they're still going to see money on the back end, and that's how they're going to return on their investment, but they're being smart. They're like, we don't understand this. They just got a doohickey in the house, and we don't know how to do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to hire somebody who's a doohickey, specialist, and we're going to have that guy come in, and he's going to take care of the doohickey, and we're going to pay him half of the money or whatever. Basically, is kind of what it is. Not exactly that, but that's like a simplified version. And Disney, on the other hand, is a completely different monster, though. Because that's with the PPE thing, and they need it. And that goodwill is out the door with Star Wars. Marvel's going downhill. They haven't had a big hit in the animation side of things since Frozen. And Soul really kind of didn't do that well because of the pandemic situation, but that proves that they can't make the money. And that goes back to the initial idea, is that they have to charge this $30 to get it from home, because that's the same price that it would cost you for 2 tickets at the theater. Now that's money directly in Disney's pocket, which they're more than willing to play that long game with the theaters. But Warner Brothers, going back to that, they saw the writing on the wall, and that's why Killar got the axe. He was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
But the problem is that all the people in Hollywood didn't want to work with them anymore, basically. Right. So they're like, okay, well, we got to play nice and we got to make nice. So they brought a guy in who is Hollywood to kind of fix things, basically.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and at the same time, you're not wrong, Tom. But Killar was working too slowly, and he was taking out the media darlings, the access media, leakers to Variety and all the high school papers that run that town.
Well, and I think that's what killed him, was the Mean Girl shit. They did not know how to play the long game in the media, and that's a conversation Andre has brought up several times. Where they just didn't get it. And because I kept saying, behind the scenes, I'm like, AT&T's got to do, and I've said it a few times live, I think too, where AT&T's got to make a move. Yeah. They're letting Warner just walk all over them right now, making them look stupid.
Well, we were talking, this is the weirdest thing. We were talking, but we were thinking, okay, they need to reorganize, they need to do this other stuff, but they were doing something else entirely in the background. I mean, and it was amazing. I don't know how many people had any insight into that this was coming.
That I know of, really.
Yeah, that's amazing. So there's like 3 people that knew about it, maybe. That's incredible. And nobody leaked. That's the other weird thing.
Killar is the topmost of the popmost, so it had to be just the people above him, basically.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? Is that going to save Ann Sarnoff? I don't know.
No, she's gone.
And does it save Hamada? I don't know.
Less
They're going to eat that JJ deal, because after the first 2 flops that this guy produces, they're going to have to eat it. That thing's garbage. Every idea he's come up with, and after insulting the American populace with that, no more white comfort crap. I mean, that's bad planning. But I need to get to the super chat real quick.
I know you got this, but just before that, because since we're talking about it now, Nina says, but AT&T is out now, right? Or do they still have say? They aren't technically out. What they're doing is they still own like majority stock in the company.
They own 71%. They're basically pulling off a reverse Morris Trust situation, which will essentially allows them to spin off a corporation. By the way, they'd already done this. I don't know if they with TPG, when they spun DirecTV out into its own unit. That's how they dumped DirecTV. They still control the majority of it, but a VC firm came in and took X percent away from them, 28% or whatever. It's the same deal with this Discovery deal. So they've spun 2 units, underperforming units, off into somebody who can run it better than they can.
Exactly.
And yet they still maintain control. So they control 7 of 13 board seats, which means Discovery has 6. And they obviously controlling shares at 71%. So
sort of like Lucas is with Disney and Lucasfilm. Only Lucas, I don't think, has any real say outside of the company side of things. Like, he votes as board member, I think, and that's it.
Yeah, he doesn't. He has almost no control at this point. So yeah, and so to get to this super chat,
Yes, sorry
we can
about
go
that.
back to the thank you. We needed to complete that thought for sure, and we can go back to it too. But to answer this question real quickly, the C-Man says for $5, how many of these upcoming Disney films were Alan Horn approved? We should talk about that because you have to remember they brought in Bergman to work parallel to Alan Horn. What about 11 months ago? Year ago?
Yeah, then that basically means he's probably been the one making those calls now.
Yeah, and that's so that kind of partially answers that question. And now he's leaving. Is Disney just pushing them out with the least effort?
Yeah, and there was some other story today that I saw that was prepping for some. I know that somebody else is going to get the axe.
No, there are two axes going to fall.
I can't remember who it was. Well, Hamada was one of them, but because that was un-Disney related. But
what's his name? The other knucklehead at Warner's toast that they were trying to save his job. God dang it! Forget his name.
See, Toby Emmerich's somebody I'm not so sure about. He needs to go. He needs to fucking go.
I don't know how he keeps his gig, dude. But we'll see.
That's a totally different conversation.
Yeah, no, but I saw some crap. Trying to remember, I saw a bunch of stuff today. There was so much news.
No, but like, he's somebody I'm not so sure about anymore. But Hamada, I think they're trying to save his job right now. I saw a piece on him that really, because it was all about how he's going to handle the DC universe and shit.
Variety. I mean, well, anything Penske Media is writing right now is in preservation of the people that are giving them information and talk to them. And that's all it is. They want to keep Ann Sarnoff around.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how it works. Everything within that new Penske company, I forget the name of the new company now, but anyway, anything within that group.
Yeah, I know it is Penske Media. I can't remember their name.
Yeah. I mean, they own everybody but the Wrap now. So THR, they own Variety, they own Deadline.
But yeah, and to answer your question, C-Man, it's that other guy that
Bergman. Yeah. And Bergman kind of was leading. He was brought in parallel to Alan because Alan was on his way out, and Disney retires their executives at 60-ish. They try to push
way beyond that because
beyond that.
Bob brought him in because he was here's the funny thing: Alan Horn used to be one of Warner Brothers Golden Boys.
It was amazing there too. Yeah, for a while.
And he did okay for Disney at first here, but it's the stupid politics that got involved. And then this asinine idea of trying to now make both Avengers and Star Wars for the girls when it's like, dude, what are you doing?
It wasn't him. It wasn't him.
No, I know it's not Alan. It's just
you realize Alan was the one that pulled the chain on Kathy, right? I think I told you that, right? Alan pulled the chain on Kathy when shit started to go south for Star Wars. And right after that, that's when they brought in Bergman like a year and a half later, or a year later. Is it that long? Maybe 9 months to a year later, they brought in Bergman as parallel. But they pulled the chain. She couldn't do anything for theatrical releases. It had to go through Bergman and Horn. It had to. Anything that was going to go had to get their approval first, except for television.
Well, Bob's been facsimile in charge now for a year and a half anyway, so whatever.
Well,
ever since that article.
Sort of, kind of.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I feel that whole him stepping down was him stepping over to take more control over Star Wars, and then the coof hit.
Well, and he became the creative executive on the board, basically. Yeah, exactly. He actually had equal authority at that point, and again, he had to bring Chapek in the worst possible way. And this is the same mess that they were creating with Paul Pressler. You bring up a guy that's a freaking retail guy that is all he knows is cost cutting. That might be good for a temporary thing, but if you saw what happened to the company before they brought in Eisner to save it the last time. It's the wrong dude, and Disney's better run under a pair of guys that one guy's a money guy, one guy's a visionary. That is, and every business should be run that way, to be honest.
Well, and Iger's turning into Eisner 2.0.
He did already. It's
Yeah,
better.
and only worse. Yeah, it's an extreme on both ends. He's like Eisner cranked up to 11, because Eisner was one of those guys who, yeah, you're right. When he first came in, he reinvigorated Disney because he brought in guys like Katzenberg and can't remember the other guy
who spun out later.
Yeah, and he knew he was doing there, and it was things like Roger Rabbit and Little Mermaid and Aladdin and all that kind of stuff got him reinvigorated, and they were just, but he just kind of became his own worst enemy by the end, and he was like doing stupid shit, because all those big flops are mostly his fault.
Yeah,
and then he had it out with Roy, and he fucked up with Pixar, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then we ended up with Pixar, right? At that thing U-turned, later on. But yeah, I mean, Eisner started out great. He and Wells were a great team. I mean, this is all that goes into those conversations. And the problem is when you lose the other guy, you flail because you don't have that other guiding hand. And that's where he made a lot of mistakes. He didn't have his consigliere, right? I mean, we all need one. We all need somebody. There are a few people here on YouTube I reach out to for that kind of advice from time to time. So, but yeah, and to speak to this, I'm looking forward to A Quiet Place too. I can't wait to see it kind of low key. I don't know. What do you think about that film?
I haven't seen the first one, but it's I know the first one was a really big hit, and those are the kind of movies that Hollywood ignores. So, like, good for it, and hopefully it's good.
I hope it does well. I really do. I really like him. I think he's great.
Well, we need more lower level budget wise stuff that makes money.
We need that $40 million film that makes $700 million.
It inspires more. Exactly.
Yeah. JJ is losing support left and right. Yeah. There's no doubt about that.
I hope that's true, but I don't know about that being so true on the inside. But
well, that's the problem. Is he's losing support from a lot of people. But here's the thing: the problem is he's placed so many other people in positions of power over things that you love that I don't know if it's going to be a long time till we get rid of all the craptasticness that stemmed from that dude. But
and I keep reminding people he's there. Nobody sees him as the way we see him in Hollywood and the inside in the in the industry. They see him as this golden boy. Like, he comes in and he reinvigorates franchises, and he gets all the getting's good.
Yeah, well, dude, where's he made his money from? Star Trek, right? It's that 20% difference garbage with everything else around.
Well, that's what I keep reminding people is the first two movies made money.
Yeah,
and the second one even made more money. Even though it cost more.
I don't know how that thing was just. I revisit it. It's trash basket. It's terrible.
And Star Wars: Force Awakens is the highest grossing movie of all time,
which is funny,
isn't it? Well, technically now Avengers is, but before that it was Force Awakens.
Well, didn't the re-release of Avatar eclipse that record?
I guess so, but it don't really matter. Gone with the Wind is still number one. We're not going to get into that argument. You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
With Star Wars and Jaws, I think is right behind it. And then
yeah, and you know what, Commander Ed Straker, this super chat is timely. For $5, it says AT&T cashed out on a losing business. They need cash for AT&T owned satellite system. Elon Musk is eating their lunch in communications. Adapt or die. You do not know how right you are. When Starlink is something that's available to everybody,
yeah, they're really living on the name. You're not wrong.
Yeah. All of this investment in 5G might be irrelevant because they are testing Starlink right now. The speeds are ridiculous. You might have fixed internet. People that are out in the country that are going to benefit greatly from Starlink.
Well, that's what I don't understand, why they've been slacking on the satellite. That's part of the reason why I can't move in the country.
Yeah. Well, guess what? You're not that far away from being able to do it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. And that's really true. Let's see. Oh, hey, it's Dexy Doodle saying skulking silently in the corner. It's good to see you, Dexy. I hope everything's going.
What are you skulking for? What's wrong?
Yeah, you don't skulk. She's just hiding. She's hiding.
Okay. Well,
she's not sulking. She's skulking.
Oh, skulking. Well, then what are you mad about?
Nah, you don't have to be mad. You just kind of you hunch your shoulders, lean up against a wall.
All right.
Darkly and everything.
As long as there ain't no issues.
I hope not. Dixie's awesome. Storyman Jack, dude, I'm sorry I made you wait so long for this super
Oh
chat.
man, what happened?
I am so glad that you're doing better, my friend. I hope you are well. I'm glad that they took care of that thing. You don't have to appreciate me, dude. I appreciate you, and we need to get back to promoting your channel, my friend, because your stories are wonderful. People need to experience them, especially the horror stuff that you did just a few months ago. Guys, check out Storyman Jack's channel. He's excellent. Just a great guy. Awesome stories. He offers them free to comic book artists, people who want to do shorts and stuff like that, as long as you give him credit. Can you believe that? He's
I'm
willing
confused.
to
Now, is Storyman Jack Story Woman Jack?
No,
or
no. Oh, not that kind of surgery. Not that kind of surgery. No, he had some brainy things to do, some head things to
oh
take.
man, dude.
Yeah, so
well,
yeah.
I'm glad to hear you're recovering, man.
Yeah.
And hopefully I made you chuckle, but not too hard. I don't want to bust your stitches.
Everybody's saying the same thing. Oh, V-Star, what's up, love? Good to see you, Nancy. I hope things are going well for you as well. Yeah, Nina, I know. But you know what? Hey, only 4 more years of this bologna sausage. That's about what I think it's going to be.
4 more years. Oh, what a prediction.
What do you want me to say?
I don't know.
What do you want me to say?
Man.
Runner's here.
Hey,
I don't know what the beginning of that is. But look, Wall Street's looking at these companies differently, and I want to flash this up here real quickly.
Yeah, what's your take on this? Because this is your title. So let's.
Yeah, it's this. Wall Street right now is looking at, and I'm going to share the. Am I going to share the chart? I'm going to share the chart. Share the chart. But bam, Wall Street is looking, and I'm not going to log into my Yahoo Finance account because that would dox me. But they're looking at this as this pattern here: short-term bearish, mid-term bearish, long-term neutral. And they're giving you the numbers where they have support and the numbers that is resistance. Their support number is way low than the uptick that we've had in the last couple of days. They think it should be 131.02. That's probably a comfortable number. Resistance at 186.04, which means they don't see the stock rising up to that high based on its trading opportunity and volume. And then of course the stop loss they're telling you to buy is to pull out at 159.62. But you can see what's happening here if we follow the chart. This was their peak. This happened on 3/8, and then it went down, bounced a little, down. Bounce down, bounce down, bounce down, bounce down, bounce down, bounce. I think it's going to go down again. And this
is Greek to me, but
yeah. Well, if you see and again, I'm not a stock expert. I don't claim to be. I watch this analysis. I'm doing what my grandfather taught me to do, and right now I would not be going in at a significant price because Yahoo Finance, their analysts think that this is still overvalued. We've known Disney's been overvalued. AT&T was suffering under the weight. They were considered to be overvalued because they were suffering under the weight of all that debt. They just spun off all that debt, and they're going to write off a significant portion of it and still maintain a majority ownership over, obviously, the new entity with Discovery Plus. Right, and you also have Universal Comcast. They're probably a little bit overvalued at the moment. So when Wall Street looks at these companies, and this gets back into what Tom and I were talking about, they're looking at the core businesses returning to normal. And I keep saying that, but that's what the analysts are telling you. You can invest all you want into this new streaming thing that will eventually be something, but we need you to return to business as normal. We need you to get earnings from where you used to get them. Comcast needs to have what Tom was talking about, performance from their main divisions, their main units. They need to produce.
Yeah. Well, and here's my point of view on this is, you got to look at the music industry and how damaging downloading was to that, and how that basically just eroded the industry overnight. The difference you have here is, we've already got this situation where most people know how to get online and get a movie, right? Most people, not a lot, but actually, I wouldn't even say most people, to be honest with you. And it's harder than it used to be. So like movies are in this rare, they've got this rare opportunity now to keep building the momentum of the streaming side of things while the other side of things are still going. They managed to get out of this without losing all the theaters. They managed to get out of this with still being a commodity that can make money as long as they make something that people want to see. And, between superhero movies and certain other things, there's still things out there that people are looking forward to. Ghostbusters, Fast and Furious, whatnot. Whether you're a fan or not, because I've never even seen more than part of a Fast and the Furious movie in my life. But the point I'm getting at here is, they had the opportunity to keep building on these streaming services while the other avenues were still open, and they had a 5-10 year window to build. Instead, they tried to get greedy. And they tried to push it too soon, especially Warner Brothers. And that's a prime example. And that's exactly why that shit happened, was because they saw that, like what Culture was saying before, is they don't have enough subscribers yet to sustain this. Disney can't even do it, charging you $30 a fucking pop.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, I ran over the story today because it feeds right into what you were saying, Tom. I ran over the story today from the Morgan Stanley call that Stephanie was talking about, where they're going to have a price bump in Disney Plus. It's going to go up again, right? And Chapek's like defending it, saying, "Oh no, it'll be fine." And the reason that they were considering doing it very soon is because their ARPU fell, despite the fact that their subscriber numbers went up. Well, of course, their subscriber numbers went up. They did a bunch of participation deals, discounts, and everything else when they went into certain international countries. You have to consider 70 million subscribers to Disney Plus are not in the United States.
Yeah, and that's still not enough to cover the bill. That's the thing.
No,
they need twice that.
They need Netflix numbers. Think how long did it take Netflix to get where they are?
Long time, and they built that.
They did. They built it over time, losing money the entire way up that ladder. You have Disney that is promising you to invest somewhere between $12 and $14 billion in new content.
I think it took Netflix almost 10 years, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it might even been longer than that, because they were already they were still, distributing the envelopes with, the films that you order, remember?
And when did they separate those? It was 2015, or was it sooner than that?
It might have been a little sooner than that.
It may have been. It may have been earlier than that. But yeah, and I remember
they built it over a decade or more, right?
The service itself was actually 2 decades.
Oh yeah, no. Oh yeah, starting out with the ship movies to your
day. Exactly. And that started back in 97, if I remember right, or whatever it was, before they even had discs. I think they started with laser discs and VHS.
Blockbuster is kicking themselves.
Dude. Oh god, they could have bought them for what, $2 million? I think it was.
It was yeah, I can't even.
Low ass fucking number. $8 million, I think it was. I can't remember.
It was really low. It was really low. And you know what? If you bought in at $9 on Netflix, you're doing okay.
No, I'm kicking myself, because I'll tell you what, around that same time, I mean, Netflix was already kind of beginning, but before I even knew they existed, like I was telling my buddy who, I used to work with, he had an ISP invested in and all this other kind of stuff that we used to work for and did. Yeah. I didn't know much about the actual business side of things, but, I just took phone calls and shit. And it helped fund our little independent movies that never happened. No, like, I told him, I'm like, I got this idea, because my video store had kind of, went under after 9/11, and I'm like, I got all this product left over. I'm like, what if we can do this over the mail, through the mail and stuff like that? Because we're just trying to think of different ways of doing it without having to have a storefront. And he's like, well, check into it, see what it's going to cost and all that kind of stuff, and like get back to me. And I told him, and he's like, yeah, I just don't see people getting into it.
Oh man, dude, I look, technology always changes the world, right? And so you look at who is the leading edge of a developing market segment, and who's in second place, and that's where you should be looking. That's, again, I'm speaking from my grandfather now, but it's always happened. It's always happened. I mean, the horse and buggy is replaced by Chevy, Ford, the Dodge brothers, right? So, I mean, it's just. Anyway, it is what it is. But anyway, and speaking to this, Mr. Dragon, the main problem comes from leadership, yes, at all of these companies. All of these companies' CEOs are heavily leaning into social Marxism, which I don't talk about politics on my channel, so I'm going to stop there. And it's affecting their bottom line because it's changing the company cultures of success and profitability to something else. Yeah. So
Absolutely. And I don't want to make it sound like I would have beat Netflix or anything like that. No, but what it would have done had my partner been like, yeah, let's try it. It at least could have opened the door for a possible competition for Netflix early on. And it would have been best for both of us then, because then it creates, innovation.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, the more competition you have, the more innovation occurs. And I think that's
and that
why
goes back to Hollywood too. You're right, because look at the two leading things we have right now, and mainly it's Marvel. They're all under same roof: Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, all that shit. Because DC can't get their shit together, so Warner ain't got nothing to compete with them. Universal's got Fast and Furious and Jurassic Park, but I mean those are two franchises that aren't really. I wouldn't say they're in direct competition with anything Disney has. Would you? Outside of maybe Jurassic Park, there's some overspill, but kids are always going to love dinosaurs and fast cars.
Yeah.
I mean, those are two things that kids are. Oh, because I got a son and I got a nephew. Guess what? Growing up, my kid couldn't get enough cars. My nephew couldn't get enough dinosaurs. So they're built-in audience no matter what. You know what I mean? Superheroes are kind of the same way, but they got to be accessible to kids. So that's where I understand the balance problem with DC, but that's another conversation. Marvel, on the other hand, as long as they didn't mess with the formula, they should have been fine. And now they're starting to mess with the formula, so I don't know how well it's going to work. So yeah, continue with your point. Sorry, Culture.
You're right though. No, and you're right. I mean, you change the formula, you have a problem, right? And in Cars and Dinosaurs, I mean, look at what Disney did in animation, right? How many Toy Stories did we get? How many Cars movies?
Well, the only reason they made those Cars movies because they were the number one seller for toys for years, or for Disney anyway. They were.
Yeah, and it's those things. So and then dinosaurs have been great forever. Disney had dinosaurs in multiple locations in their theme parks, right? Forever and ever. They had a diorama in Disneyland, and up until recently, when they pulled it out, the Universe of Energy had dinosaurs that you went through that moved around animatronics.
And that's why I think Godzilla and Kong did so well too, because they kind of saw that. If you saw our one video, I don't know if you did or not, but where we kind of said like flat out, like, yeah, I think they figured out that their biggest audience was the ones they were neglecting, and that was the kids.
Well, and you have a lot, and then the nice thing about Cars and Dinosaurs, unisex, works for either, doesn't matter, especially dinosaurs.
Exactly.
And so it's just this weird place, man. It's like we're abandoning these concepts. And Star Wars, again, the whole stated purpose to invested and interested bystanders for Star Wars, for Disney, was to get the boys. They had the girls.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and they don't understand that most girls will play with boys or try to be involved with boys and they don't want to then generally be pandered to.
No.
Because we brought it up time and time again. What killed the biggest toy franchise in history, basically, up until Ninja Turtles, was the introduction of She-Ra. So if you know anything, Masters of the Universe was the number one toy franchise until Ninja Turtles came along. And it was doing great until they decided, let's get the girls involved, and they brought She-Ra into the mix. And so what did that do? That turned off the boys and whatever girls that were already part of the franchise. Yeah. Instead of integrating it like they should have in a way, they blew it. And that's exactly what Disney is doing all over again with Marvel and Star Wars. And I don't get it, because Iger bought these two specific franchises to get the boys. What the fuck are you doing?
Well, and again, I mean, they're destroying it. What do you mean? What are they doing? They're destroying it. It's willful.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's stupidity. I mean, you already had the market cornered on girls. It makes sense. Okay, you got the Disney princesses. That's, all that stuff is, you've got that cornered. Other than Barbie, what else is going to sell bigger than that in the primary? Okay, I'll be PC feminine toy product.
Strawberry Shortcake, My Little Pony.
Yeah, but those are not even near. Maybe Pony, but like Strawberry, no way. Strawberry Shortcake's even in that league.
Well, it was back in the day.
Way in the day.
Yeah, I'm bringing that stuff up. I mean, Smurfs had a certain crossover appeal.
No, I think you hit the
damn it.
nail on the head. Dinosaurs always have cross appeal.
They do. They do. Even cars.
Especially Jurassic Park and Godzilla, because it didn't, even though they were technically gearing shit towards boys, they didn't pander to the other side. And that's where you had the plus, because most girls that were going to be doing into that stuff, the last thing they would want is some pink dinosaur made to pander to them. They would want to have, you know, the actual Jurassic Park dinosaur or the actual Godzilla, you know, and Godzilla was big with kids, and so was Kong. And that's where I was getting to, is they realized, oh shit, and they switched gears. That's why they went from that first movie, which was, dark and dour and hardly any dinosaurs in it, or Godzilla, to the second and third and fourth film where it was all dino action and monster action, or however you want to put it.
Dino action. All right.
I don't know if you can quite call it dino action, but you know what I mean.
I do. But here's the thing, and I want to get on Nina's comment, because I was trying to bring up some numbers, and I put them in a folder I can't find right now. But that's the problem. I have so much crap. I have charts. I have like all kinds of things, graphs, everything that kind of breaks down how these streaming services work, because I was trying to figure out the business model that would be successful. And the successful business model is Netflix, which means it's not growing overnight. And for this very reason, Nina says, how many people are going to cancel that shit when the subscriber deals run out?
Great point.
Every effing body. Okay.
Point.
Yeah. I mean, you have so many of these streaming services now. And how many of them do you actually subscribe to? And of those, how many of them do you actually use? And aren't you running out of content on Disney Plus to be interested in?
Yeah, that's why a lot of people stream hop.
That's right.
Or however you want to call it. They'll actually, 1 month they'll have Disney Plus, then they'll have to, Netflix and so on.
They'll do the trial. Oh yeah, I'll take the 7-day trial and then I'll opt out.
That's why they've got 17 kids with different emails.
Yep, exactly. And here's the thing. I mean, it's like, so this problem is called churn. Okay. And Disney has created the worst opportunity for churn I've ever seen. As all of these deals expire, as all of the free deals expire, as all of the discounted things expire, I've seen some numbers out there that indicate that they retain about 70% of people, or a little over that. It's still 20-some% churn.
Yeah. And no, I won't deny, Nina, that the bronies are a big part of the fandom. And I know ponies are big, but we're talking the topmost of the popmost here, though. Like, as far as
Yeah. And this is one I missed, and I apologize for that. And I got some super chats here. Holy crap, guys.
Now, Transformers, if you're talking, now that's more up there a bit more. Barbie, Transformers, Hot Wheels, which would be in the car department. Right. These are your constant sellers.
Yeah, and Hasbro developed the Dinobots for a reason. Cars and dinosaurs. There you go. And Amber, I missed your super sticker. I'm sorry. I just want to say thank you for that. And of course, we have the super chat from our friend, I think Makini, right? $10 super chat. Let me get to
it. And
I
mean, I canceled my Disney Plus, but I technically have access to an account because my kid has Verizon or whatever.
Yeah.
So he has a free account. And the only thing I've watched on there in the last few months hasn't been Marvel or DC related, or Marvel or Star Wars related. Mm-hmm. I watched the Mighty Ducks series. That's it.
Yeah.
And actually, it ain't been that bad. So that's about all I can say on that. I mean, it's not great, but yeah.
Yeah, and Makini says for $10, and this I think he's right. It sounds like Iger's words of acquiring Marvel and Star Wars to appeal to boys market was nothing but a cover-up. It's more just converting the male market into the female market via ideology. The problem is now you have both markets that are not interested.
And well, here's my question for you guys out there in the chat and for you, Culture. Do you think it may be more of a shift? I think the girls still probably buy dolls and certain figures enough, but I'm thinking boys have turned away more from actual toys into video games and tablets and stuff like that. Do you think that's the case?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I think that that's one of the reasons why my nephew is playing Fortnite and other stuff all the time. And, I mean, anything that he gets that's, of interest, as gifts or whatever is, kind of more in his interest line. Right. And to be honest with you, I mean, again, I'm not in the household on a day-to-day basis, and I haven't had an opportunity to ask my brother yet. But then, my eldest niece, I mean, she's too busy doing, intramural stuff at, at school and all that other stuff. So it's just, I watch from a distance about what they're consuming, and it's not toys. It's like, you have a lot of really cool stuff like Legos. There's no doubt about it. And it definitely, my nephew's into that, and my niece will do that too. But I think you're right. I think they've moved from toys into video games, and you know what? I don't blame them. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, I want to expand on the video game aspect, like I said, the tablets and things like that, because I'm always seeing kids in their tablets. But no, and that's a good point too. And Nina, is I'm sure it depends on the age range for girls as well. But I gotta imagine that girls are a little bit more, they want to play with the hair aspect, they want to do this. Yeah, and some boys still want to build and stuff like that. But my kid, if you gave him the choice between playing with a couple of Hot Wheels or playing a video game, he's going to choose a video game every time.
Yeah. And here's an interesting thing. When I was a kid, which is a long time ago, this is what I did: skateboarding, dirt bikes, BMX, climbing trees, playing sports. That took up most of my time. I would collect Star Wars stuff because I love Star Wars. Outside of that, I don't know what was in my toy closet. Not a lot. it just wasn't. That's the difference between now and then. Now and then is,
well, I grew up in that age though, like where they took away the regulation. So like for me, I grew up around, all the kids down the block, which one had the bigger, more expensive Transformer or the bigger, more expensive He-Man collection kind of thing. Cause it kind of went in phases. It went from like G.I. Joe, Transformers, He-Man, that kind of a thing. And then it went into like Ninja Turtles and Ghostbusters and,
But your point here is 100% right. Legos, completely unisex. Everybody gets into Legos.
Well, I noticed that at the toy aisle at Walmart, you have one aisle that's mainly girl pink stuff, like the Barbie and all that kind of stuff. And then you have one main aisle that's kind of more geared towards boys. But there's a lot of stuff in that aisle I could argue that would go both ways. Because Star Wars and Jurassic Park and Marvel stuff, that was funny phrasing. But no, that boys or girls could play with equally and not, feel like they're whatever problem they're having with their gender bullshit. Because most kids don't fucking understand that crap at that age, which, let's get real.
They don't care.
They don't care. They just they like what they like. They don't give a shit.
And they're visually satisfied to figure out what you are.
You know what? I don't know if this is the same for everybody, but a lot of the same things that stimulated me visually, and I don't mean that in a, risque way, but I mean that like, okay, I loved creatures. I loved monsters. I loved dinosaurs. So I gravitated towards things like Gremlins and Jurassic Park and Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. So like those are things that I'm into, and that hasn't changed. You give me something that's similar to that, like the new Godzilla movies, I'm going to be there. I'll be more critical now from an adult angle. Right. Like I said, even something like Mortal Kombat, I said that myself. If my 15-year-old self who went to see the 1995 Mortal Kombat got to see this new Mortal Kombat, then I would have came in my fucking pants. I'd have been like, holy shit. So yes, even though I can be critical of it, I still have to try and keep in perspective where we're at. So I try to,
look through that,
balance that.
Through that window, look through that prism of a younger version of you. And absolutely. I mean, the latest version of Mortal Kombat was tremendous. Couldn't believe it. Looking through that prism, for sure. Lego was unisex.
I went off on a whole rant, but what I was saying was like, my original point was there's one section for boys, one section for girls. Then the rest of the sections are pretty unisex. Like, I mean, they're not geared towards any. It's like games, Legos, bikes, sports balls, and stuff like that. So
you still have pink bikes, though. Just FYI.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing too. Is I'm sick and tired of all that crap. If a boy wants to be more masculine, let him. If a girl wants to act more feminine, let him. If they want a boy that wants to act more feminine, let him. Whatever. Who gives a shit? Nobody. It doesn't necessarily mean they want to be a woman.
But we never did. That's the other problem is since you were born, Tom, that crap didn't exist anymore. most of that had been pushed out the door. You were still going to have, bad words, meanie words and stuff like that. You were still going to have, the opportunity where one of your friends called you a girl or whatever, and that was supposed to be offensive or whatnot. But for the most part, all of that kind of stuff just didn't exist. This is a whole other baloney sausage that we're not interested in. But Diablo Dame makes a good point here. Brushable hair is a must-have for Geeky Sparkles. Yes. Over there for Clownfish, yeah. He's really funny with that. Clownfish TV, they're a great channel. Yeah.
Did you know that technically is what makes the difference between an action figure and a doll?
His hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And humanoid figures are taxed more than monsters. So that's why
memes, are you memes? Are you, memes?
They had a dragon. Yeah, I think they did, but
my baby sister, her jam was also My Little Pony. Stepping on Legos in the middle of the night, no bueno, absolutely, dude. I can't even tell you. Yeah. Oh, I have the Friends Lego set right from the coffee shop. I haven't built it yet. It's still in the box. I didn't even unwrap the packages. So I don't even know if I'm going to build it. I may just like show off the box. I don't know. We'll see. I loved Legos. Anything I could build with Lincoln Logs, Tinker Toys. Remember Tinker Toys?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the Rector sets. You guys probably don't know what those are.
You thought a Rector.
Well, they let us play with metal and screws and nuts when we were kids.
Dude, we had like fucking junior science lab shit
dude. Yeah.
where you could make uranium and crap.
No, it's like,
or not make uranium, but you play with it or whatever. You know what I mean?
I can make hydrochloric acid.
That's what I mean. Like, yeah, I can make a nuclear reaction at my house. Like, I'm gonna build a time machine.
Oh my god. Oh man.
I made it out of Tinker Toys and home science kit.
Your name was Spike. Okay. His name was Spike. Okay, that for the dragon. All right, I didn't know that.
Okay.
Yeah. Dungeon Master Blaster says, dude, I had all the toys you mentioned. Yep. Dude, I had I'm telling you, life was amazing, and I'll never, even with all the setbacks, disappointments, all the things that happened in my life, if you can look back and not have regrets, or very few, or a limited number, you're blessed. And believe me, I count myself among the blessed.
I don't have regrets, but I have regrets where I ate too much yogurt.
Regrets?
Yeah.
Dude, that tattoo
eating too much frozen
one of the
yogurt.
Best. That's funny. Morgan Holloway says, I remember Tinker Toys, yes. Pepperidge Farm remembers as well. So, yeah, see, people loved it. I loved the junior science kids, microscopes, all kinds of stuff. Yeah,
bring frogs back to life after you kill them.
Yeah, and you could take the magnifying glass and burn ants. It's freaking amazing, right?
It's alive.
Yeah, well. Stop playing with your erector set.
Stop playing with your erector set.
I design mechanical stuff for a living. Tinker's Toys are my life now. Yeah, dude. And what's amazing is adult stuff, right? That's kind of that. Some of the games that exist now have that built-in adult Lincoln Logs in them, right? I mean, Fallout 4 with the communities, you're building up the what do they call them? They're not communities. What's the right word? Settlements. You build up the settlement, you protect it. That's adult Lincoln Logs. You have all of that built into games now. Sims, that's basically Sims. Sims, you're building a house, you're equipping a house, you're living a life of this entity. We never get away from those ideas of creation, right? If you're a creative person, you just do it more. And like with Fusion 360, when I'm like developing a new model, or I'm trying to, make an idea work, or, develop an animatronic hand or something like that, or any of those things, some kind of mechanism, that Fusion 360, man, it's awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm weird like that. Mechanos. Absolutely. Yeah. Meccano. Yeah. Let's see. Snowdub says, I was chopping with my axe and buckwhacking my backyard.
Bushwhacking.
Bushwhacking? Oh, I didn't.
Bushwhacking.
Bushwhacking with a machete. By 10 years old, learned how to shoot at 9. Kids these days are sheltered. For shizzle.
I knew that kid.
Yeah. I dropped off some Lincoln Logs a while ago. Thank you, Krusty Moko.
Making fucking firecrackers at 6 and dynamite by 12. Yeah.
Actually, okay. So here's the weird thing that I really appreciate now about a lot of science stuff. There's a lot of things that you can do with everyday household items,
Like
and
make explosives.
we had a guide for that back when I was a kid.
If I probably say what it's called, I'd get in trouble.
We'll get busted. Yeah, we can't say it. Say it.
It's online now. You know that, right? A certain
It is.
cookbook.
It is. It is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like when we were kids, that was like contraband and shit. Like you had porn and that cookbook, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. 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 Adam Wofford for $5. What's up, Adam? Good to see you. Says, what? You made a time machine out of a big wheel and a He-Man castle? I just my mom about D&D wheelchair friendly dungeons and she laughed at it. Oh, you just told your mom about it. Yeah.
Well, you know, somebody who's in a wheelchair has got to have it accessible to like get chained up in the dungeon. But what if they're a wizard and their robe gets caught in the wheel?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and
Nina's leaving.
Yeah, she had to run. We're getting ready to end, guys.
I was going to say, I was going to segue for you.
Yeah, we were gonna do an hour 90. We're already at 90, so we're gonna wrap up with you guys in the chat. You guys are the best. Thank you for being here. Andre Enrico says something brilliant. The toys from before were much better. Now there are only video games. I mean,
I'll give you the games are really cool looking, but
they are. Yeah. But I mean, and I always go back to my favorites now. I mean, the new video games, some of them are less engaging because the story sucks, or now they're starting to put political garbage in your video games.
Yeah.
So anyway, and now they're
Naughty Dog.
Printers. I have more than one 3D printer. I will cop to that. So and I have at least one resin and one additive.
You should make me a number 5.
I will, dude. I told you. I'm working on something else for you. You said wanted a new. Yeah, you said you wanted something, and I remember.
Is it green?
Yes, it is.
I remember you saying something.
Yep, and I'm going to make it so that all of them, so there's mechanics involved in it. So you will actually have, you're gonna have Kermie with moving eyes that blink and everything else.
Oh shit, you're going way beyond Henson.
I am. I'm gonna give you the bestness. Here's the thing. My goal in life, if I were to retire, I think would be to do something like Dark Crystal, or that kind of Henson level amazing stuff. That took like multiple people to do one character.
Speaking of seeing Snowdub, that reminds me that fucking deal over that is some bullshit.
The Henson Company.
I tried. You know what? When I was like 19, 20 years old, I tried sending in a resume for them too. Like, that's like one of those dreams of like working for like the Henson Company, man. Yeah. Being.
The Creature Shop still makes just amazing stuff. Holy cow! Oh, but yeah, that was disgusting, Tom. It was.
I grew up on the Muppets, and then they worked on Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. So it was like, oh yeah, that was kind of where I wanted to be, even if it was one side or the other. I'm not a very technical person. I probably couldn't build that shit, but I could probably make a puppet talk. Like,
look, you have voices, you can do all that other stuff, and then the other mechanisms, like I prefer cabling, like to make eyes blink and stuff like that.
I'm also somebody who doesn't mind being put into like costumes and shit usually, but yeah, I'm a big guy, so that's the problem.
Yeah, and here's the thing: Drunk have a Muppet of himself. I don't know, but I've been told I should make one of my own self. So something with hair.
But your Muppet wouldn't sound like you. That's the thing. It may look like you, but I bet you it would sound. For some reason, in my head, it sounds like Ralph.
That's probably true.
Welcome to Culture Casino's channel.
It would sound like that Ralph in a Sam Elliott crossover or something.
Sometimes there's a dude who's the dude for his time.
Oh, great. Oh, and this was one of the worst days I've ever had.
No shit, snowed up, man. Oh man, that broke my heart, man. It was really sad because it was right after Ninja Turtles came out too. So,
dude, and Krusty, it would be awesome if we had Midnight's Edge with puppets and not our own selves. That'd be amazing. So yeah, and I could see Tom in a costume.
I actually, I was one of those. It wasn't a Disneyland thing because I didn't have it, but there was this place called Storybook Land,
Oh,
and I actually played several characters throughout. But I quit because
oh, dude.
it was. Oh, I was like the only guy besides this old guy who played a clown, and that's it.
Right.
And to be honest, I got sick of being fat ass Prince Charming dying out there in the costume. It wasn't a fun costume because I wasn't able to play like a real cool character. You know, it was just
so
lame.
if somebody gave you the opportunity to be Sweetums.
Like that kind of shit, sure. But like my thing is like, you know, it just wasn't me. You know what I mean? I was like, why don't you get some young, good looking fucking guy to come in here that actually looks like Prince. I have no hair. I mean, I wasn't bald yet then, but I was like starting to go bald. I'm like, this is not my part. You know, like this is not me. I'm better as a clown, as anything else. Make me one of the dwarves, you know, anything but this. Humpty Dumpty. I could do something with that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, I am not the face character you're looking for. That's what that's what
I'm
Disney
not,
calls.
no, I can do voices. I can do characters. I
Mm.
can, yeah, no.
With that, and that imagery of Tom as something. Oh wait, we have one more.
I
super
wasn't
chat.
as chubby then, so I was, you know, just picture like young Jack Black as Prince Charming.
The Jack of all casuals for $4.99 says we will be waiting for the dinosaur with nunchucks, ninjas with lasers, cowboys in cars movie. Tom. Wow.
It's coming eventually.
Didn't we come up with like an incredible
Some
film?
of that, yes.
Yeah.
Some of that I think is from one of ours.
Oh my god.
I can't remember all that. We have to go back. That's why I record this shit for posterity, because my brain sucks.
Yeah. Well, you guys are the best. Thank you all, everybody out there in the chat. You guys really make our day. This is one of the funnest shows of the week. And plus, I get to hang out with Tom. Anytime I get to do stuff with Midnight's Edge or somebody else, it's just the best. Thank you so much, Tom, for being here. Anything you want to promote? I know you guys got a video coming.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for having me. I'm very humbling for a frog. You know, lately I haven't got out of the lily pad much. So,
well, I don't think many people have lately.
No.
Yeah. By the way, you Kermit, you sound more like Kermit than the new Kermit. I'm just saying.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, guys, tomorrow I'm dropping a video on the MCU's future, which I think is rather dismal, and some other stuff throughout the week. I'm also getting some things prepared because I will be gone during some of June, early in June. So a lot of stuff is going to drop, including pre-recorded 6-minute dailies as premieres, so that I keep the YouTube logarithm happy. Beyond all that, be sure to take care of yourself. Take care of others. Wash your hands, of course, because it's good hygiene. And until next time.
Hey, Bert.